Coverage of Gamescom was brought to you by Crazy Games. More on them later.
We just pitched our game to our very first publisher, and
we have some thoughts.
It's been an experience, yeah, that's the way. So we're here now in front of Gamescom. We've just finished day one. We've done our first pitch here, and I think it went better than expected.
Yeah, so I nailed it.
We didn't really talk about this yet. So we were like, we're going to do the pitch and we're going to go out and we're going to give you guys the inside scoop of how's it going.
What do we think about it?
What do we think indeed? How is it going?
How do we do this? Basically, I pitched it. Marnix was there. He was there for comedic relief. I used him as an example sometimes for some, not always as nice things, but they enjoyed it, so it's fun.
I was his like support like dog basically. So we pitched, let's keep the name out of it maybe. On Patreon we talk about who we pitched to and the exact experience, so Patreon for that. But I just want to share a bit more of how do you go into this, because we had never pitched, and I'm gonna be honest, a lot of developers I'm talking to are like, oh yeah, I got 17 pitches, and they talk about it like it's super easy. It's not. You're shitting your pants the first time, if you're being honest. He was shaking so much.
I'm probably still shaking, but I also drank way too much energy drinks today, so I'm not sure if like a part of it might be stress, another part might just be the raw adrenaline that is flowing through my veins.
Yeah. So yeah, we did a pitch. The pitch was not perfect.
No, definitely not.
And we're talking purely about the pitch deck in this case. What are some of the main mistakes that you think we did?
I think the biggest one is probably funding-wise. I think it made us look a bit out of touch because we basically gave budgets for what we think for art, programming, but something we also included was localization. Marketing, QA. And QA. Yeah. And the publisher was like, you added numbers there, but that's basically what we do. Yeah, so we just take that off your budget because we are doing that. You don't need budget for it. And I was like, I didn't know.
We did not. That's the thing.
And it makes sense, but we never thought about it, and that probably meant they were like, what are they doing? This is what we are offering. We're not just giving you money, we're also supporting you. And I think that's a pretty weird vibe maybe that we gave.
I think,
So I don't think they found it too bad.
They weren't like, oh, we can't do like deals with this because these are absolute idiots. I think we had some good points as well. First of all, we had evidence. If you saw the previous video, I'll link it up here, where I talked about like the DevCom things I learned is we had released the game and we have a Discord and we were able to say like, hey, we've had people play the game. I think those were two very big pieces of evidence that we had. Like even though we said like, hey, it has mixed reviews for the industry, but it's like 69%, which was not nice, but it's like right below. And they seem to be pretty down with that. It shows that, hey, we can at least still release the game.
And we also talked about the things that we think Forge Industry wasn't good at and why we think it didn't blow up or whatever. And they said like, for what you actually did, self-publishing, you did really good.
Yeah. What was maybe, so how does the flow work is maybe a good one. So we had a meeting at 18:30. We started 7 minutes late because that's the thing with these events. Nothing will go like planned.
It's super
hectic.
Had
like a 30-minute slot, but we on purpose planned for a 15-minute meeting. And then if we had like 7 minutes, we had 7 minutes left basically. And then we did some questions and they could ask us some things. So that was the first thing. We just went straight in. We did no small talk because you do not have time for small talk at these events. If you have a more casual, like, hey, we've scheduled a call or like remote or we're going to their office, then do small talk. We also had a little bit of a previous experience with the publisher. We met them earlier. If you go to these events, don't just have your first meeting be the one where you're going there. What we do is, first thing, I do this always when I meet with sponsors and things like that. First thing I do, I get in the conference, I just go and say hi. And I'm like, hey, I'm a real person. I'm here. Don't bail out on me. Is what it basically boils down to. You don't say that last part?
Yeah, I think that's something really strong because we actually met them last year. We had no intention of publishing. We talked to them anyway. Yeah. And we came there by when we were live streaming and he was like...
We talked to them again?
Yeah, we talked to them again. It was like, I know you guys from last year, right? And I was like, yeah. Oh, we have a meeting tonight, right? Yeah. And he knows we're serious.
Yeah. What did we do good in our pitch, you think? Did we do anything good?
Yes, for sure. I think we had a great fit. That's one of the most important things. The publisher, even themselves, they said like, you have a great fit.
This
with
is
what
perfect.
You do for
publishing. We're building a game aimed at an Asian audience. We're making a management and strategy game. That's the stuff that they are publishing. Don't go to like a Serenity Forge with the game we're doing. Serenity Forge is very much narrative based. We did research it. Do you think it's a bad thing that this great fit was our first pitch as well? Because you hear often like, hey, do your first pitches with the publishers you don't want. I have some thoughts on that, but I want to know yours as well now.
I actually don't think so.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know how, I think at least you were there to watch, because it was my feeling, because I was pitching it. I think I came across very down-to-earth wholesome. I think I was not talking too high, right?
Yeah, no.
And I think that's really important. And I also think that when you don't prepare it too much, I should have prepared more, by the way.
Yeah, you did not prepare enough. We basically did the prep. I'll put some video maybe on top of this, but we did the prep basically 3 hours before our call. We did like a final run through.
Prep more, but don't prep too much. I think you can definitely over-prep. Yeah. I think a part of it has to be spontaneous.
Yeah.
There were some parts in there where I was like, they seem to like this part, and I try to make an example of it.
Yeah.
That's like, for example, when I use Marnix as an example, like, hey, Marnix is going on a quest.
Yeah.
He dies. I save him.
I think one more thing. So we talked already about the mistake we did in terms of we asked for this much money and like for the localization, QA marketing, whatever. That was first thing one. The second thing that it feels very conflicting, but I think it's something we'll learn from experience is that the thing we got as a lot of the feedback. So we originally asked for we were like, hey, let's start at 150K. Was like our first thing I think, and then we're like, no, that's too much. Let's go back to 115. And then at the Valve thing, I spoke with some other publisher, and I was like, no, you should ask for 250K. And we ended up settling at 170, which did include like that marketing and localization. I think with the total funding cost was like 130K for development and artists, the main things, and then like a little bit spare. And I think every publisher will say this is like, oh, this was a little bit too high. And it's very easy for us now. The first thing Thomas told me is like, oh, did we fuck up and price it too high? I think personally we didn't. I think we did a good move. Like, we still have room now to, if they're like, hey, we really can't make this work at this price, we can still go down.
Also, publisher, if you're watching this, we are very tight on budget. We cannot go lower.
Well, we'll see how it goes. If they watch it, we'll see. That may be a good idea. Well, honestly, basically you can determine the publisher, but I'm not saying the name. Get wrecked. We also got a follow-up immediately.
Yeah.
I think that is a very important one.
That was really strong.
That was one of our big W's. They were like, hey, we're interested. Can you send us a build? Which is already decent. And they were like, hey, people in the office like playing this. And I was like, okay, we're going to Tokyo Game Show. It's in a month from now, basically. Will you be there? Because we knew they were going to be, but I was like, hey, will you be there? We can meet, like get a second meeting, get a follow-up there. And they were down. And that also, I think, immediately is a good start to not get forgotten as much. If you can have that physical, like we can go to their booth and be like in their face.
Yeah, we just send them a build like at the end of Gamescom and be like, hey, about Tokyo Game Show, let's book a slot or whatever. Yeah. And they make time for us and you have a follow-up. Yeah. Even if it's just, hey, we're not actually publishing you, but it's feedback, that's still a win.
I think an important thing, this is from my general sales experience, we now had the luxury of, hey, we're going to a physical event. If not, plan the follow-up meeting whilst you're in that call still. Yeah. Just give them a time, and if they don't agree to it, give them another time. Really push for that. That's the most important thing. Because once you send that email, like it's very easy to ignore emails. Whereas if they've already committed to like, hey, let's talk again, like next meeting, let's just schedule it now basically. And immediately, if it's an online meeting, send a schedule, send like Google Meet or whatever. Do that. I think it's very important to get that feedback or like to get that follow-up at least for these publishers. Be ruthless, send follow-ups otherwise if they don't hear from them on time.
Yeah, maybe another thing that you can maybe elaborate a bit on is you saw me pitch for the first time.
Yeah.
What are the rookie mistakes I made?
You were way too stressed. So the thing is, I could have probably pitched this, but I didn't want to, not because I'm lazy, because I think it's also more value for you. I was sitting next to him. I'm looking at this and hey, I could have done this, but I think you also need some self-improvement, self-development at some point. You were very stressed. Don't think I've seen you this stressed ever in my life, and I've known you unfortunately for a long time, and I think that is normal. I think that's something, like, once again, I said it earlier, people pretend like, oh, I am all big dick energy and I just walk in and I slap my giant dick on the table and I'm like, 400K please. That is not how your first meetings are gonna go. The first meetings you're gonna hate how did you feel?
I felt very stressed. It was obviously obvious that I was stressed, but something I think I did well was immediately say that I am stressed. I don't know how you think about it, but usually if you already explain, hey, I'm actually really stressed for this, people are a lot more considerate if you just say it out loud, I think.
Don't say it's your first pitch, just say it's one of the first.
Yeah, I didn't say first or one of the first, I just said, I'm just stressed.
And they'll connect the dots for you. Yeah. So yeah, I think overall, we made a lot of mistakes still, but I think it
was not perfect.
Did all right. I told you this, guys. We are sharing with you how this is for us, and I think this is still going to be a lot of information for how it's going. Maybe we're gonna wrap it up here, but if you want to know more about publishing and you want to know the full pitch deck we did, which already honestly is a little bit outdated with the things that we've learned after this, our Patreon is the #1 source for some more in-depth stuff about funding, about running your studio. I think personally, if you want like more information, you want to just talk to me and like have me walk you through how do you contact those publishers in the first place? How do you find them? There's so much extra information on there. I'll link that down below. But I think, generally publishing, it's scary, but you're gonna have to try it. I think at the end of the day, you're not gonna die. I think that's the important thing to remember. Just do it and make your dreams come true.
Are you proud of me? You said it was better than expected. Are you proud of me?
Am I proud of you? We'll see if in like 3 months when they give us the offer.
But you think I did okay?
I think you did okay for your first pitch, for not having prepared that much. I think there could have been a lot of things that we've done better. Yeah. But overall, yeah, I think
the Bite Me style is kind of winging it, and at some point we should probably stop winging it.
We were very close to winging it too much, I think.
Yeah,
I
agree. I completely agree.
I think if we didn't have that meeting earlier today, it would have been horrible. It wouldn't have gotten the feedback. So do more than you think. Maybe, at least Thomas is very lazy. He did the bare bones. So whatever. We're not gonna divert and attack him personal. He's a shit person. We already know that. Anyways, if you like more content, we're making more videos here on Gamescom, talking about the entire experience. We'll be doing some live streams and everything like that. So be sure to stay subscribed for this. We have a lot more content planned. But apart from that, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! Coverage of Gamescom has been once again brought to you by Crazy Games. If you're making a game that has a mobile export option, basically, Crazy Games can be a great option to either get more revenue from it through monetization, or just get more feedback by having a larger player base and just putting it on itch.io. It's very easy to get started. We've worked with them before you were sponsored or anything. It's great stuff, honestly, that more developers should use, if you ask me. So there's a link down below to get started with Crazy Games, and I think, honestly, just give it a shot. There's not much you can miss out, though. So thank you once again to Crazy Games for sponsoring the coverage, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!